The Capcom Fighting Collection 2 has just released, and it includes many classic Capcom fighters within it. Much of these iconic games can finally be experienced on modern consoles for the first time in years, equipped with modernized training modes and online functionality. In particular, Capcom vs SNK 2 is amongst these classic fighters in the collection, and I'm sure that many of you will be experiencing it for the first time. Some of you probably owned the game years ago, but didn't think about getting into it competitively until now. Whichever person you are, don't worry. This video will teach you everything you need to know about CVS2 so that you can hop on the game and have a fun time. So, if you're ready to move, then let's groove.
Capcom. This is the tournament for the new millennium. You'll experience the most exciting battle in history. Let's get ready to battle. Feel the intensity when power and technique collide. Crush the competition. A battle beyond your imagination. Let the martial arts madness begin. 2001 is the year we make contact. Welcome to the revolution. Capcom versus SNK 2.
Getting started with the control scheme, CVS2 is a 6-button fighter, much like the Street Fighter games. Pressing these buttons individually will give you punches or kicks in the forms of lights, mediums, and heavies. Your standing light punch is done by pressing the square or X button, your standing medium punch is done by pressing the triangle or Y button, and your standing heavy punch is done by pressing R1 or RB. Alternatively, your standing light kick is done by pressing the X or A button, your standing medium kick is done by pressing the circle or B button, and your standing heavy kick is done by pressing R2 or RT. When you're crouching, these variations of punches and kicks will also exist, such as having a crouching heavy punch and a crouching light kick. This is also the same case when you're jumping. While these attacks definitely have different uses depending on the character, some of them can be generalized, such as your light punches. Your light punches are overall great for walk jab pressure and frame traps. For those unaware, frame traps are a powerful concept in fighting games where if you do an advantageous attack on the opponent's block, you get to attack before the opponent does, which causes them to get counter hit afterward if they try to attack. Light punches for the most part are advantageous on block, so this is great for frame trapping the opponent. If your opponent ends up blocking to avoid getting frame trapped, this is where your walk jab pressure can come into play, as it's great for reducing the opponent's guard gauge. When the gauge is empty, the character suffers a guard crush, which puts them in a short stun period in which they are vulnerable. It regenerates after being out of block stun or hit stun for a certain amount of time, so it's not the end of the world. But aside from draining the opponent's guard gauge, you can also just go for throws to catch them blocking. Throws are performed by pressing forward or back plus heavy punch or heavy kick. Just keep in mind that heavy punch throws are faster than heavy kick throws, but do less damage and have a larger tech window. Some characters in the game also have overhead attacks that catch the opponent crouch blocking. Most of these can be performed by pressing forward plus medium kick or forward plus heavy kick. For your pokes, a lot of them will probably be your crouching medium kicks, standing medium kicks, or standing heavy kicks. You want to be careful though, as some of these buttons can be jumped over or easily whiff punished. If you're ever going to use these, make sure that you know for certain that the opponent is going to run into them. And of course, just like in some other 2D fighting games, your crouching heavy punches are generally your grounded anti-airs. Keep in mind that some characters have special moves that can be used to anti-air as well. Speaking of special moves, these are your character's most recognizable and signature attacks that can do amazing things. You'll have to go through your character's command list to see how to input them, but generally, they typically require a motion on a joystick or D-pad, plus a punch or kick button to execute. And just like your regular attacks, these also have light, medium, and heavy versions. As stated previously, some of these can be used to anti-air, but others can be used to poke, approach, extend combos, or extend your pressure because they are advantageous on block. Furthermore, every character in the game has super attacks. These also have light, medium, and heavy versions and do insane damage. Each use the groove gauge to activate, which you can see at the bottom of the screen. I'll get into the groove system later on in the video, so don't worry. Lastly, characters can also be stunned in CVS2. When a character is hit too many times in a row, the character will fall and stars will start to circle around their heads, making them completely vulnerable to a full combo. While there's no stun meter in the game like in Street Fighter V, there is an indicator in training mode. Each of your attacks will add stun damage, with stronger attacks adding more. Some characters take way more or less stun damage depending on if they're fragile like Akuma, Kami, and even Ryu, or tanky like Zangief, E Honda, and Raiden. And important to keep in mind, super attacks do not deal stun damage, except for Ryu's Heaven Glaze Punch and Evil Ryu's Metsu Hadoken. Now that you've gotten a good understanding of the basic attacks and how they interact with the game, let's start talking about the combo system. Just like in every other fighting game, in CVS 2, combos are a series of attacks that cannot be avoided once the first hit connects. A hit combos if the opponent is still in hit stun when the next attack lands. They are typically created by linking or chaining normal attacks or canceling normal attacks into super or special moves, which I'll get into later. Starting off with the different types of combos, some normals and special moves hit multiple times in one action. Examples of this are Ryo's heavy Zanretsuken, Ryu's level 3 Shinku Hadoken, and Kyo's down forward heavy kick. Characters can also execute combos through rapid fire light attacks. These are fast attacks like light punches and light kicks that can chain into each other. Ryu and Ken's crouching light kick is a good example of this because it can chain into itself multiple times. Also, you can chain rapid fire light attacks not just into themselves, but into any other light attack, provided it's another rapid fire light attack, of course. For example, Sakura has multiple rapid fire light attacks, which are her standing light punch, crouching light punch, and crouching light kick. These can be chained into each other, creating fluid combos. However, some attacks like her standing light kick aren't really rapid fire light attacks, which limits the chaining capability. Not every character has rapid fire light attacks, of course, so keep this in mind when you're learning a character. But if you want to start learning about some serious combos, you can start with your jump attacks. If you hit the opponent low enough to the ground before you land, you can continue the combo with a fast or a slow ground move before the opponent recovers. If you hit your opponent higher in the air, you'll have to go for more faster ground moves. Also, if you jump at the right distance, you can land cross-up attacks that can hit the opponent if they don't block the correct direction. CVS 2 also gives players the ability to buffer special moves or supers. For those who don't know, buffering is when a character attacks an empty space with a normal, but the player is secretly inputting a special move or super behind it, making it activate if the normal attack connects. Keep in mind that not all normal attacks can be buffered into special moves, but some can be buffered into supers. To buffer successfully, you must activate the super during the specific frame when the normal move connects. If you miss this timing and the move's animation resumes, it's too late for buffering, so you have to be quick with your execution to make this work. But don't worry, with enough practice, you can get this down. Finally, there are also links in the game that you can come up with for each character. A link is a combo where two normal attacks are executed quickly with a huge emphasis on perfecting the timing between the moves. Let's use Kyo as an example here. After landing a crouching light punch, you can follow up with a crouching heavy punch before the opponent recovers, creating a 2-hit combo. This can then be buffered into a special move. For Ryu, he can link a crouching light punch into a standing heavy punch. With enough practice, you can get these links down. Combos are pretty important to learn in any fighting game you play because you have to reduce the opponent's health to 0 as much as you can. So in CVS 2, having more of an understanding of how your life bar works and what the damage output is like in the game is very important. So let's talk about it. Just like in every other fighting game, your life bar shows how much health you have left. When your life bar hits 0, you lose the round. Pretty simple, but there's more going on under the hood. Not all characters have the same amount of health, but some having way less or way more than others. For example, Zangief has 15,600 health, Akuma has 12,800 health, and Shin Akuma has 6,500 health. These are the character's standard HP values that are present in Ratio 2. For those unaware of what ratios are in CVS 2, let me explain. You see, Capcom vs SNK 2 lets you build a team of up to 3 characters with a combined total of 4 ratio points. You can assign ratios to each character in a team, and they all must add up to 4 ratio points. The difference between each ratio point is pretty straightforward. Ratio 1 makes a character weaker by lowering both their health and the amount of damage they deal. Ratio 2 is the default, where the character's stats remain unchanged. Ratio 3 boosts both health and damage slightly, while Ratio 4 gives the biggest increase to both health and damage, making the character significantly stronger. Basically, the higher the number, the stronger the character. A Ratio 4 Ryu is significantly stronger than a Ratio 1 Ryu, mainly because his health is larger and his damage is higher. Having said all this, you can make multiple team structures with this in mind. You can have 2 Ratio 1 characters and 1 Ratio 2 character that would equal up to 4 ratio points, or you can give all 4 points to a single character that will be equipped with massive health and big damage. making them a super strong solo character. But don't get it twisted, because there is a strategy in how these teams can play out. Choosing a high health character at ratio 1, like Raiden for example, gives you more durability even as a weaker slot. Conversely, a glass cannon like Shinakuma dies fast, but he hits hard, so you can strategize around having them at ratio 3 and having a strong ratio 1 character. But let's get more into the specifics of the life bar. A neat thing about CVS2 is that your life bar changes color to show how much life is left. When it's yellow, you're at full health. When it's bright orange, you're between 75 to 50% of health. When it's dark orange, you're between 50 to 25% of health, and when it's at red, you're at 25% of health or less. Color changes can clue you in on when damage scaling begins, which I'll get into right now. When your life is low, you take less damage per hit. At 16 to 30% of life, the damage you take is reduced by 10%. At 50% or lower, the damage you take is reduced by 25%. This helps you survive a little longer in clutch situations, but I should mention that if a character hits you at the 30% mark of your health and it leads into a straight KO combo, scaling will not kick in. Scaling will only activate if you're not getting comboed and you are below 30%. Lastly, when you defeat a character in CVS2, you get some life back when you start the match against the next character, similar to how the King of Fighters games works. The faster you beat them, the more health you regain, so winning quickly rewards you with more health in the next round. Alright, so you understand basic attacks, combos, how the life bar works, and what's up with ratios. However, we haven't even scratched the surface of what truly defines the heart and soul of this game. What am I talking about? Grooves. In Capcom vs SNK 2, you have a selection of 6 grooves that you can pick from: C groove, A groove, P groove, S groove, N groove, and K groove. Whichever groove you pick, it will affect your entire team by giving you unique skills and abilities called subsystems that are borrowed from classic Capcom and SNK games. So let's go over each groove together and see what their subsystems are and how to use supers within them. C groove gives characters the ability to do rolls, counterattacks, tactical recovery, dash, and air blocks, all of which I'll get into later. The C groove gauge is divided into 3 levels, which fills up as the fight goes on, allowing for the use of super moves. Each increment represents the power of the super move used based on the button strength. You have your light punch or light kick super, medium punch or medium kick super, and heavy punch or heavy kick super. Level 1 supers are your lights, level 2 supers are your mediums, and level 3 supers are your heavies. Obviously, you can fill up this meter by attacking the opponent or getting attacked, but you can also increase it by whiffing medium and heavy punches or kicks. Alright, now that I've explained how supers work in this groove, let's go over to each of the unique subsystems together. Counterattack is one of the many subsystems in C groove. Similar to Alpha Counter in the Street Fighter Alpha games, by pressing forward in medium punch plus medium kick at the same time while in block stun, you will perform a counterattack that gets the opponent off of you. While it is invincible, keep in mind that it costs groove gauge and guard crush gauge to use, so don't use it unless you absolutely have to. C groove also gives players the ability to do a tactical recovery. When you get knocked down, you can delay your recovery by holding 2 punch buttons. Pretty useful for tricking opponents who think they have your wake up timings memorized. You can also do dashes in this groove by pressing forward twice. Pretty typical for a fighting game dash. Air blocking is a thing in C groove as well. It blocks both attacks and projectiles, but you will still lose some guard crush meter after blocking something. Finally, let's talk about rolls, which is a huge subsystem among some of these grooves. Rolls are inputted by pressing the light punch plus light kick buttons simultaneously. Rolls are fully invulnerable to strikes and projectiles from the start, but become vulnerable to them shortly after. Also, they can be thrown at any point during the animation. And for those wondering, only forward rolls are available in this game, not back rolls. What's special about rolls though is that you can cancel a roll into a special move. This is a powerful glitch in CVS2 that allows players to transfer the invincibility frames of a roll into a special move. This makes the special moves nearly untouchable and super strong. Despite their strength, roll cancels are hard to perform consistently due to the tight 2-frame input window. To practice this, record a dummy throwing a fireball and try to roll cancel through it. If you pass through the fireball without taking damage, you succeeded. Of course, every special move has different motions you have to input to execute them, but generally, to cancel a roll into your special move, you have to press the roll button at the same time as the direction right before the final direction of the special move, then immediately finish the motion with the final direction plus the punch or kick button. If you still don't understand roll cancels well, I highly suggest this roll cancel guide by Boss that demonstrates this pretty cleanly. He's a Japanese player that dominates the competitive scene for this game heavily, so I gotta shout him out. his video will be in the description. Also, I should mention that you cannot do roll cancels in CVS2 ranked on the collection because EO version is the standard, which does not have roll cancels. A groove gives characters the ability to do rolls, counterattacks, dashes, and something called save falls. Alternative to tactical recovery, with save falls, you instead perform a quick recovery from knockdown by pressing 2 buttons. As for the A groove gauge, when it's at 50%, you can do a level 1 super and you can do a custom combo when it's at 100%. The custom combos are pretty much borrowed from the Street Fighter Alpha games and they're invincible on activation for a short amount of time. A neat thing you can do is finish your custom combo with a level 1 super attack. Just keep in mind that getting hit during the custom combo state ends it completely and removes 50% of your A groove gauge. If you like having optimized combos and threatening your opponent with meter, this is a pretty solid groove to try out. P groove is where you start to see a bit more new subsystems in place. P groove gives you the ability to not only do tactical recovery and dashes, but also parries and short hops. Parries function the same way it does in Street Fighter 3rd Strike by pressing forward for high, mid, and air attacks or down for low attacks at the moment an opponent's attack connects. Successfully parrying attacks will build meter, negate chip damage, and give you the chance to go for a counterattack. These can also be done mid-air. As for short hops, it's exactly the way how it is in the King of Fighters games. It's a faster jump that is lower to the ground and is used for approaching, overheads, and hopping over low attacks. The P groove gauge is a single gauge that fills up as the user deals or takes damage, a classic approach from Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. When it's full, the user has the ability to go for a level 3 super attack. Overall, pretty interesting groove, but keep in mind that P groove has the weakest guard crush meter in the game, so be very careful. Next, let's start getting into the SNK inspired grooves, starting with S groove. S groove users can use counterattacks, short hops, tactical recoveries, and even run and dodge. Runs are inputted by pressing forward twice and continuing to hold the forward button afterward. Pretty standard for a fighting game run, but while running, you have access to a running attack and high jump. The dodge subsystem functions kind of similarly to rolls, but there are differences. It's essentially a spot dodge that makes the player fully invulnerable to strikes and projectiles for a set period of time. All you have to do is just press light punch and light kick simultaneously. The extra thing about these dodges though is that they can be cancelled with any punch or kick button. One attack is a range normal that causes a knockdown, while the other is a close attack that is special or super cancelable, even on whiff. S groove is another groove equipped with a gauge and is pretty unique. You can manually charge your meter by holding heavy punch plus heavy kick at the same time, and the longer you hold the charge, the more meter you build. Once your meter is fully charged, you enter max mode. Max mode lasts around 16 seconds and gives you a 50% damage boost, level 1 super, and guard cancel counterattack. When you're in low health, you gain infinite access to level 1 supers regardless of meter. You can also perform level 3 supers only if you're in low health and your meter is at max. Getting into N groove, you can do rolls, counterattacks, save falls, short hops, and runs. Players also have the ability to do rolls out of block stun by doing a guard cancel roll. By pressing forward or back and the roll button in block stun, you will either roll forward or backdash away, getting you out of dangerous pressure situations. As for the N groove gauge, as the gauge is built up, you will acquire stocks. Each stock can be spent on a level 1 super or give you the power to enter max mode. N groove's max mode will give you a 20% damage boost for a limited time and will upgrade supers to level 3. Just keep in mind that using a level 3 super will immediately end max mode. And finally, K groove allows you to do short hops, save falls, and runs. The K groove gauge borrows heavily from the Samurai Showdown games. You build meter in this gauge through just defending and by taking damage. The meter in K groove fills very quickly, and when it's full, you can perform a level 3 super attack, your character takes 12.5% less damage, and you'll do 35% more damage on all your attacks. Capcom vs SNK 2 is one of the best fighting games of all time for a reason. The mechanics and attacks all flow so well together, and the character roster is huge. Whether you're a competitive or a casual player, there's something here for you to enjoy. Hopefully this guide was easy enough for you to understand and more than enough to make you interested in the game. If you all want to see more fighting game guides on my channel, be sure to subscribe and let me know what fighting games you want guides for in the future. Thank you all for watching and have a blessed day.